So you want to dive into cutting-edge trading tech, huh? Well, buckle up because today we're going deep on Metaquant and their whole matrix pitch.
Yeah, they're really going all in on that.
Big time. They're saying they can pull back the curtain on the market, show you what's really going on.
The hidden truth. Right.
Exactly. But we're here to see if there's actually anything there or if it's all just smoke and mirrors.
Well, that's the big question with any new tech, isn't it?
Yeah,
Especially in trading. Everyone's always chasing that edge, trying to get ahead.
for sure. And one of the things they're really pushing is this whole 3D visualization of the order book.
Right, I saw that.
It sounds cool and all, but I'll admit I'm not entirely sure what that even means for an average trader. Like, what am I actually seeing?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a bit of a head scratcher if you're not familiar with the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. So could you break it down for us a little?
Absolutely. So think of the order book like the beating heart of the market, right? It's where all the action happens. You've got buyers putting in their bids, sellers setting their asks, all for every single stock out there. And this thing, it's constantly moving, changing every millisecond.
It's like the pulse of the market.
Exactly. And what Metaquant claims to do is show you that pulse in action, but instead of just some boring old two-dimensional chart,
Right. Those can be tough to decipher sometimes.
they're talking about a dynamic three-dimensional representation. Like imagine air traffic control,
Oh, okay.
but for stocks. You'd see the buy orders coming in from one direction, the sell orders from another, all swirling around this central point.
Whoa. That's kind of wild when you put it that way.
It's a pretty radical concept. And the idea is that it could give you this much deeper, more intuitive understanding of market depth. You know, how many buyers and sellers there are at different price levels and liquidity, which is how easily you can actually buy or sell without moving the price too much.
So instead of just seeing the price ticker, I'm seeing the forces behind it.
Exactly. You're basically getting a glimpse into the engine room of the market.
That's a pretty powerful idea if it works the way they say.
It is. But the big question is, how much of an edge does that actually give you in the real world? Does it actually help you make better trades? That's what we're trying to figure out.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's all about results.
Exactly. And then they mentioned these HFT signals and an HFT counter. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I saw that on their website. I mean, I know the term high-frequency trading gets thrown around a lot,
It's one of those buzzwords.
but I'll be honest, I'm not sure I fully grasp what it is or what it means for someone like me who isn't, a Wall Street whiz kid.
Right, it can seem like this whole other language sometimes.
So can you break it down for us? What is high-frequency trading?
It's exactly what it sounds like. Trading at super fast speeds, like lightning fast. We're talking powerful algorithms making thousands, even millions of trades per second.
Millions. Wow, that's just mind-blowing.
They're basically exploiting these tiny, tiny price differences that pop up and vanish in a flash faster than any human could ever react.
So it's like a whole other level of trading.
It is. It's like the difference between playing checkers and playing five-dimensional chess. Most traders, even with the fastest internet connections, can't compete at that level. It's just not humanly possible.
Yeah, that's where I start to feel a little out of my depth. It's like, why even bother if the game is rigged like that?
Right. And that's exactly the kind of sentiment that Metaquant seems to be tapping into. They're basically saying, hey, we've got a way to level the playing field.
Interesting. So how do they actually factor into all of this? What are they claiming to do?
So that's where their HFT signals come in. They claim these signals can alert you in real time when these high-frequency algorithms are making their moves.
Oh, so it's like a heads up.
Exactly. You're getting a peek behind the curtain to see what the big players are doing. And the idea is that this gives you a chance to react, to potentially profit from those moves, or at least avoid getting caught on the wrong side of them.
Okay, that makes sense. But then what about this HFT counter they talk about?
Yeah.
Are they saying they can actually outmaneuver these super fast algorithms?
Yeah, that's where it gets a little fuzzy.
Because how do you even fight that?
Right. That's a bold claim to make. They're a bit light on the specifics, but they mention offering what they call countermeasure strategies that are supposed to be based on these high-frequency trading patterns they're identifying. So, theoretically, you could use their platform to not just see what the HFT algorithms are doing, but actually develop strategies to counteract them.
Wow. It sounds like they're almost positioning themselves as the Robin Hood of the trading world, taking on these Wall Street titans with their supercomputers and algorithms.
Right, and that taps into a very real anxiety, even anger, that many traders feel, that the market is rigged against them.
Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of that.
And Metaquant is leaning into that hard. especially with this whole matrix thing they've got going on.
The red pill, blue pill, yeah.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, take the red pill and see the market for what it really is.
Yeah.
All the hidden algorithms, all the high-frequency trading, all the stuff that's normally going on behind the scenes.
It's very wake-up, sheeple.
Totally. But, it's clever marketing. It plays into this desire to see the hidden truth of the market, and they're presenting themselves as the key to unlocking it all.
Right, like they're holding the door open to this exclusive club.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, though, if they're relying on this metaphor to kind of gloss over the actual complexities of the technology.
Or if the tech can actually live up to the hype, right?
Exactly. Because seeing the matrix is one thing, but understanding it, that's a whole other story.
And then they talk about increased mental activity as a potential side effect of their red pill.
Right. I saw that.
It's like, warning, may induce existential dread.
It's a little much, don't you think?
It definitely toes the line. I mean, maybe it's tongue-in-cheek, just a way to generate buzz. But it does make you wonder who their target audience really is. Are they going for the experienced traders who understand the intricacies of HFT and all that? Or are they casting a wider net, trying to lure at anyone who's ever felt like the market is this big, scary, mysterious thing? Because it feels like they're trying to appeal to both.
Right, and that's a tough line to walk.
Because if it's too complex, you'll alienate the newbies. But if it's too simple,
the pros will see right through it.
And speaking of bold statements, their website doesn't shy away from those. They've got this whole roadmap laid out, going from these 3D visuals all the way to AI-powered trading bots.
It's ambitious, for sure.
It's like they're saying, we're not just building a platform, we're building the future of trading.
They're swinging for the fences, no doubt.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, timelines in the tech world.
Let's just say they're flexible.
To put it mildly, things rarely go exactly according to plan.
Especially when you're talking about something as complex as this.
Right, and as new technologies emerge.
Things can change quickly.
So it's a good reminder to be cautiously optimistic, I'd say.
Right. Don't get too caught up in the hype. Speaking of which, they're currently in what they call Phase 8 of their roadmap, which is focused on community and social aspect.
Building the hype.
Yeah, which is interesting because some of their core tech, like these advanced HFT signals, is still, according to them, under development.
Right, so they're focusing on the community aspect before the product is even fully baked.
So are they getting ahead of themselves a little, trying to build a community around something that doesn't fully exist yet?
It's not unheard of, especially in the crypto and NFT space.
True. That world moves at warp speed.
Hype is everything.
It's all about getting in early, right?
But it's a risky game to play, for sure. Speaking of which, have you seen their team page?
Yeah, I took a look. It's a bit sparse, isn't it? Especially for a project of this scale.
A little, yeah. You'd think with all these bold claims and revolutionary tech, they'd have a whole army of geniuses working behind the scenes.
Right, an all-star team. But there's not a lot there.
No, not really.
And the bios, they're a little vague, aren't they?
To say the least. You've got your code virtuoso, your master of trading algorithms, but not a lot of concrete information about their experience in finance or AI or anything, really.
It's a lot of trust us, we're the experts, without actually saying why we should trust them.
Exactly. And that lack of transparency can be a bit of a red flag, especially in the finance world. When someone's claiming to revolutionize trading with cutting-edge technology, you want to know who's behind the curtain, so to speak.
Right. What's their track record? Where did they cut their teeth in this world? Because vague titles and promises of unparalleled this and revolutionary that only go so far, you know?
At some point, you need to back it up with some substance.
Exactly. So we've got some red flags popping up already, but before we completely write them off, let's dig a little deeper into their claims about specific features, see if there's any there, you know?
Right, because there could be some genuinely innovative stuff here.
Because at the end of the day, what we really want to know is, can MetaQuant actually deliver on its promises? And more importantly, is it something you, as someone interested in trading tech, should even consider?
It's a lot to unpack.
It is, but that's why we're here. So let's dive in, shall we? One thing that really jumped out at me on their website was this claim of 0 additional transaction fees, 0 data feed fees, and 0 platform fees.
Yeah, they're really pushing that.
Because, like, are we trading for free now? Because in the world of trading, that sounds almost too good to be true.
It's definitely unusual, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Most trading platforms, they make a big chunk of their money from those kinds of fees, right?
Exactly. So how can they just not?
Right. It makes you wonder, it's possible those costs are baked into their subscription model somehow.
Because they do have those different tiers, right? Monthly, yearly, even lifetime.
Exactly. So maybe they're betting on massive adoption to offset those costs, like if they have millions of users.
Volume over everything.
Exactly. But even then, it's not like they're a nonprofit. They're clearly trying to build a business here.
So where's the catch?
Right. That's the question. It makes you wonder if there are other revenue streams in play that they're not talking about quite as openly.
Like what?
Well, they mentioned NFTs, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and this whole MetaQuant universe thing they've got going on in the metaverse.
Right, because everything needs a metaverse tie-in these days, right?
It's all the rage. But seriously, it could be that they're planning to generate revenue through those avenues, maybe selling virtual goods or experiences.
So it's less about trading fees and more about virtual hats?
Maybe. Or virtual trading desks, or who knows what else they'll come up with. It's the Wild West out there in the metaverse.
True enough. But for someone like me who's more interested in, actually using a trading platform to, trade.
To make money.
Exactly. What does this whole metaverse play even mean? Is it a distraction?
That's a fair question. I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you're strictly focused on the nuts and bolts of trading, the charts, the indicators, the actual execution of trades, then yeah, the metaverse stuff might seem a beside the point.
Right, like just give me my charts and let me at it.
Exactly. But I think they're trying to tap into this larger trend of Web3 and the metaverse and position themselves as pioneers in this new frontier of, social trading.
Interesting. So it's less about replacing traditional trading and more about augmenting it.
Exactly. Creating a community, a shared experience, maybe even some gamification elements.
Which could be cool, but it also sounds like a lot of potential distractions.
That's the risk, right? It's a lot to juggle. And they haven't exactly shied away from buzzwords, have they?
No. Blockchain-powered, unparalleled interactivity, synergistic ecosystem. It's a lot to unpack.
It's like they took a whole bunch of buzzwords, threw them in a blender, and poured out a marketing campaign.
And it's easy to get caught up in all of that, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's exciting, it's new, it's revolutionary. But for someone who's seriously considering using MetaQuant as a trading tool, I think the focus needs to be on the practicality and the effectiveness of their technology.
Not just the sizzle, but the steak.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how cool your platform looks or how many buzzwords you throw around if it doesn't actually help people make money.
Right. Results matter more than hype.
100%.
And speaking of practicality, they mentioned this free Python bridge to connect your MT5 platform to MetaQuant.
Yeah, I saw that. That's getting a little into the weeds.
It went totally over my head. I'll admit, I'm not exactly a coding wizard. Can you break that down for those of us who might not be fluent in Python?
Sure. So MT5, that's a really popular trading platform, especially among more experienced traders, people who use algorithmic trading strategies, that kind of thing.
Right, the pros.
Exactly. And Python, that's a programming language that's really popular in the data science and finance world. So essentially, this Python bridge is a way to connect your MT5 account to MetaQuant and potentially automate trades based on the analysis that MetaQuant provides.
So it's like a way to bridge the gap between their platform and a more traditional trading platform.
Exactly. If you're someone who's already comfortable with algorithmic trading and using a platform like MT5, this could be a way to integrate MetaQuant's tools into your existing setup.
Okay, so that makes sense for a certain type of trader. But then they also talk about how easy MetaQuant is to use, even for beginners. They even say you don't need to install anything or connect data feeds or anything like that.
Right, which is interesting because it seems like they're trying to be everything to everyone.
A cutting-edge platform for the pros and a user-friendly tool for newbies all at the same time.
It's a tough needle to thread, for sure, because you've got to strike that balance between offering enough features to satisfy the experienced traders
without overwhelming the beginners.
Exactly. It's a delicate dance.
And then there's the whole auto algo feature, which they describe as your trading companion.
Yeah, I saw that. Your little robot buddy.
They make it sound so friendly, but they also claim it can eliminate human emotions and optimize your trades. And I don't know about you, but when I hear those kinds of promises, my skeptical antennas start twitching.
Right. It's like, hold on a second.
Because emotions play such a huge role in trading, even when we try to pretend they don't.
Absolutely. I mean, how many times have you heard someone say, don't trade with your emotions?
Right. It's like trading 101.
But it's easier said than done.
Because we're all human.
Exactly. We're not robots, no matter how much we try to be.
So how can an algorithm truly eliminate emotions from trading? It feels like a fallacy.
It's definitely a bit of a marketing gimmick, I'd say. I mean, While the idea of removing emotion from trading is appealing, especially if you've ever made an impulsive decision that cost you money,
We've all been there.
the reality is far more complex. Because emotions, they influence everything about our trading. Our risk tolerance, our investment goals, even how we react to things like market volatility.
So even if this auto algo can execute trades based on purely logical, data-driven analysis,
It's still working within parameters that are set by ultimately human emotions, right?
yeah, it's like you can tell the algorithm to avoid risky trades.
Though what constitutes risky is subjective.
It's all relative.
Exactly. So it's a tool, not a magic bullet.
And like any tool, its effectiveness depends on the skill and knowledge of the person using it.
Exactly. You can have the most advanced trading algorithm in the world, but if you don't know what you're doing,
You're still going to lose your shirt.
100%.
Speaking of which, they do have a pretty detailed section on their website about their development roadmap, which suggests they've been working on this for a while. They've got 8 phases outlined, starting with their initial research into blockchain and 3D visualization, and progressing to where they are now, which is focused on building a community and this metaquant universe.
Right, I saw that. It does seem like they've got a plan, which is always good.
Right, a long-term vision.
But it's worth noting that some of their more ambitious features, like the AI-powered HFT signals and those automated trading algorithms, they seem to be slated for much later phases of development.
Which seems a bit at odds with their marketing, wouldn't you say? Because they're really pushing those features now, even though, according to their own timeline, they're a long way off.
Yeah, it's like they're putting the cart before the horse a little bit, maybe to generate excitement, get people talking.
But it also creates a risk, right? Because what if they can't deliver on those promises?
Exactly. Expectations management is key, and they might be setting the bar a little too high too early.
It's a delicate balance. And speaking of things that make you go, let's talk about the team behind all of this. We've got a code virtuoso, a master of trading algorithms.
Right. Very catchy.
But when you actually dig into the details, it's surprisingly thin.
A little vague, you could say.
Very vague. And I get it. They want to protect their intellectual property, keep their secret sauce under wraps.
Sure, that's understandable.
But transparency is crucial in the finance world, right? When a company is making these bold claims about revolutionizing trading with cutting-edge technology, you want to know who's behind the curtain, so to speak.
You want to know that there are actual humans with, experience and expertise driving this thing.
Exactly. What's their track record?
Yeah.
Have they built successful trading platforms before? What's their understanding of the market? Because vague titles and promises of unparalleled this and revolutionary that only goes so far,
You need more than just buzzwords.
You need substance.
Yeah.
At some point, the rubber has to meet the road.
Exactly. Otherwise, it's just smoke and mirrors.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've looked at their claims about 3D visualization, HFT signals, automated trading, even their foray into the metaverse. We've also highlighted some potential red flags, the aggressive marketing, the lack of transparency, the ambitious promises. But where does this leave someone who's genuinely interested in metaquant and what they're trying to achieve?
It's a tough one, right? Because on the one hand, you've got this really cool technology, this whole 3D visualization thing, which, like we said, is genuinely innovative.
It's impressive for sure if they can actually pull it off.
Right, because if it works the way they claim, it could really change the game for traders, give them this whole new way of seeing and understanding the market.
It's like, imagine going from those old black and white TVs to like a giant high definition flat screen.
Right. Suddenly you're seeing details you never even knew were there. Exactly. And that's what metaquant is promising, but for the stock market. But there are those red flags we talked about.
The marketing blitz, the vague team bios, the timelines that seem a bit optimistic.
Exactly. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it's definitely a reason to, proceed with caution.
Don't go all in just yet.
Right. Don't let the excitement of the technology cloud your judgment. Take a step back. Look at it objectively.
So it's more like proceed with a healthy dose of skepticism than run for the hills.
Exactly. Because there could be something truly special here, but you don't want to get caught up in the hype and end up disappointed.
Right, because hype can be dangerous.
It can lead to bad decisions.
So for someone listening to this who's intrigued by metaquant, maybe even a little tempted to jump in, what are some concrete steps they can take to evaluate whether it's the right fit for them? How do they cut through the noise and get to the truth?
Well, I always recommend a 3-pronged approach. Scrutinize, start small, and stay informed.
Okay, I like that. Let's break those down. So, scrutinize, what does that look like in this context?
It's about doing your due diligence, really digging into the details. Don't just take their word for it. Look for independent verification of their claims.
So, like, are there any audits of their algorithms? Have any reputable third-party analysts reviewed their platform?
Exactly. Those are the kinds of things you want to look for, because anyone can put up a flashy website and make bold promises.
But it's the evidence that matters.
Exactly. And then, start small. If you're thinking about investing any money, see if they offer a trial period or a demo account. That way you can test out the platform, get a feel for how it works, see if it actually aligns with your trading style, all without risking any real capital.
It's like try before you buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't go all in until you've had a chance to kick the tires, see what's under the hood.
And finally, stay informed. The trading world is constantly changing, right? New technologies, new strategies, even entire markets can emerge seemingly overnight.
It's the Wild West out there. And what seems revolutionary today could be obsolete tomorrow.
So it's crucial to stay ahead of the curve, right?
Absolutely. Don't let this be a one-time deep dive. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep learning. That's how you stay ahead of the game.
Because the more you know,
The better decisions you can make.
it's as simple as that. Well, this has been fascinating. We've gone from visualizing the stock market in 3D to navigating the wild west of the metaverse, all while trying to separate fact from fiction.
It's a lot to take in, for sure, but it's exciting stuff. It just goes to show how quickly the world of trading is changing and how important it is to approach new technologies with both curiosity and, a healthy dose of skepticism.
Exactly. Don't believe the hype. Test everything.
As always, you've given our listeners a lot to think about. As we wrap up here, is there a final thought, a question, something you want to leave them pondering as they continue their own exploration of the trading tag landscape? Here's something to chew on. If this kind of technology we've been talking about, if it really does become the norm, if everyone from day traders sitting at home to, massive institutional investors all have access to these advanced tools, will it actually level the playing field or will it just create new forms of advantage?
Right, because even if everyone has access to the same tools,
This doesn't necessarily mean everyone will use them equally effectively.
it's like giving everyone a race car doesn't mean everyone will suddenly become a Formula One driver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the question is, will this technology democratize trading or will it simply shift the power dynamics?
It's a question worth pondering. And maybe there's no right answer, at least not yet. But that's the beauty of it, right? The future of trading is still being written, and it's up to all of us to approach it with open minds, critical thinking, and a commitment to responsible innovation.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of MetaQuant. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the exciting world of trading tech. Until then, happy trading, everyone.